So 2023 paper 2, and it's question 7. So Olga is a cyclist. The diagram shows a road AB. In fact, it says the line segment AB. That those brackets, those kind of square brackets, mean line segment. It has a start and an end. And we're told the diagram's not to scale. When we're told it's not to scale, it means that you can't measure it with a ruler, or you can't measure angles with a protractor. You have to calculate rather than measure. AC is horizontal, BC is vertical. The length from B to C, or the distance from B to C, is 9, and the distance from A to B is 70. We are looking for, or it says the gradient of the road AB is BC over AC. So in other words, it's rise over run. That's all that means, which we already knew. Written as a percentage. Now you can do a gradient as a fraction, a percentage, a decimal. So it just means the slope. Gradient is another word for slope. So we're looking for the slope of the line AB using rise over run. Now the problem is, of course, is we need AC in order to do rise over run. So we're going to call that X. So it's simple, a simple Pythagoras actually. So we're going to start with the hypotenuse squared. So 70 squared is equal to the other two sides squared and added together. So that is what, 4900, isn't it? 70 squared, yep. And X squared and 81. Now X1, and that's 4819. And then to get X on its own, I do the square root of 4819. Now, I'm not going to bother calculating that until the final step, because I'll get a more accurate answer if I'm not rounding it to a decimal now. So in other words, to get the gradient, I'm going to do BC over AC. So I'm going to do 9 over the root of 4819. And then I multiply by 100 because it tells me I have to do it as a percentage. So I'm going to do that on my calculator now. 9 over the root of 4819 and multiply by 100. Okay. The root of 4819. Okay. So that's giving me an answer of 12.96 etc. percent, and we're told to do it to the nearest percent, so 13% is our answer. Okay, the next question, Olga wants to measure a vertical height of a hill. The point H is at the top of the hill, R and P are 20 meters apart on horizontal ground at the bottom of the hill. Olga measures the angle of elevation from R to H. We can see angle of elevation is 17 in the diagram. And then taking O to be the point directly below. Now, directly below is a way of saying that it's 90-degree angle. Now, it's already marked in as 90, but just in case, directly below would suggest 90. Olga also measures the angle OPR and ORP. They're all marked in already. All of these are shown in the diagram, again, not to scale. So we can't take out a protractor or a ruler here. We have to do a calculation. So it says work out OH. So OH is what I have here in green. So in order to get OH, I'm hoping I can use, we'll call it triangle 1. I want to be able to use triangle 1. And because it's a right angle triangle, I can use my trigonometric ratios, which is your SOHCAHTOA, your silly old Harry, summer's often hot, children are happy, teachers often annoy, whichever one you're using. But before I can do that, I need to find the yellow line. So when I look at triangle 2, this is not a right angle triangle. So straight away in my head, I'm thinking sine rule or cosine rule. Because I have 2 angles on a side, I'm thinking sine rule. I have 2 of the angles, and the last one has to be 5 degrees because the angles have to add up to 180. So I'm going to use my sine rule to get the yellow side. So I pick a side, 20, and I divide by the sine of the angle opposite, sine of 5. I pick another side, we'll call it X, the yellow side, and I divide by the sine of the angle opposite, which is 87. Now I'm skipping steps here. You should be writing the formula down to make sure you get all the marks, but I'm just, I suppose, speeding it up a little bit here, but make sure you write the formula. Okay, sorry, I'll just give myself a bit more room. So all I'm doing now is rearranging and finding X, just radians, because sometimes I know when I'm switching between questions, especially when I'm doing exam papers, sometimes my calculator is still on radians. So just check your calculator screen. It should be on degrees. If it's not, go to Shift Setup number 2 and change the angle unit to degrees instead of radians. So just double check that. 20 times the sine of 87 and all over the sine of 5. So that's giving me 229.1597, etc. Now, I'm not going to round that yet because just leave it as it is for the moment. And I'm going to go back to triangle 1. Now, in triangle 1, I need, so this is my opposite and this is my adjacent. So that's going to be tan. So the tan of any angle, tan of 17 is opposite, which is the one I'm looking for. So we'll leave that as O, and adjacent is the one I just found out, 229.1597. So to get my answer, I'll cross multiply first. 229.1597 multiplied by the tan of 17. And when I work that out, that should give me opposite. So I'm doing that on my calculator. So that's giving me 70.061, etc. Now we're told to do it to the nearest meter. So 70 meters is my opposite side.